Welcome to our pond. I am a-trak. My friend here is
Armand Van Helden.
Armand Van Helden.
Armand Van Helden.
Well, something our viewers don't know, we just saw each other for the first time since like January. It was nice to see you in the flesh.
Yes, the ducks have missed each other.
I know, yeah.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
That was good. It was good. We were even trying to remember when we saw each other last, and I can't believe. Like, I feel like it took us a couple minutes to even remember when we last saw each other.
Yeah, it came down Dominican Republic, right?
Yeah. But now we're back on Zoom, and today we get to talk to both of our heroes. But before we do any of that, we're going to talk about cooking a little bit. So yeah, let's step into the kitchen.
Put the sauce on it.
So I got a simple one today, but one thing I've realized is in the world of vegetables, there's certain vegetables that in certain parts of the world people just don't know as much. It's funny how there's like cultural vegetables.
Cultural vegetables.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about leeks.
Oh, God.
Leeks. My mom would make leek salad. It's a very French thing. And then, moving to the States, once I was an adult, I realized there's a lot of people that don't eat leeks. So I'm going to break down how to do the typical French thing is just leeks with a vinaigrette.
Well, wait a minute. Is there another term for leeks?
I don't think so.
Leeks aren't endive, right?
No, different.
Totally different.
Totally different.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
No problem. Leeks look almost the shape of a celery, except they're not hollow. Like it's just.
Oh, okay. I know it.
Yeah.
Leeks is in the onion family.
Yeah, it's in the onion family.
Okay, got it.
So the leek.
But not scallions.
Sorry?
Not scallions.
Not scallions.
Okay, got it. Okay.
They have a very soft taste. I'm a fan of the leek.
Okay.
All you need to do is know how to cook the leek and then how to make a vinaigrette, and that's it. Then it's leek vinaigrette. There's two ways to cook leeks, as far as I know. You can boil them or you can stick them in the oven. I'm partial to boiling them because it just has it becomes even softer. Your leek is kind of long and it's got like longer green shoots on top. It's got long hair. You want to give it a little bit of a quick haircut before you cook it. So you boil some water. All you need is like 3-4 leeks, and that's even enough for a couple people because they're pretty big. You cut the longer part of the green stuff on top. If anything, you're gonna need to fit this in the saucepan or whatever. So you cut the end off. With your knife, you also make a slit lengthwise. I don't even know why, but apparently you're supposed to do that. Throw them in boiling water for like 12 minutes. That's it. Your leek will be cooked. Then you make your vinaigrette. My vinaigrette is pretty simple. I'll do, let's say, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 tablespoon either a red wine vinegar or a little bit of lemon juice. Sometimes I even do both. 1 tablespoon red wine vinegar, a little bit of lemon juice because I have lemons that grow in the back, so I like the little extra taste. 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, salt and pepper, mix it up, toss that generously over the leeks. The leeks end up almost bathing in the vinaigrette. And then if you want, you can add capers or you can add the little cornichon, the little...
By the way, how do you properly say that word?
Cornichon.
Cornichon?
Yeah.
Corny?
Cornichon.
Like that's a corny dude. Cornichon?
Yeah, cornichon.
Okay. Because I was saying cornichons. I think I was always saying it right. I just was never sure I was saying it right. So
I had it.
Nice to know. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So that's my leek vinaigrette. Great little side dish. On to you, my friend.
Yeah, I don't have a very special one this week, but again, I have to stress that I just throw down food as fast and as easy as possible with the least amount of effort and cooking. So this is going to be one of those. For today, I'm doing linguine pesto. And the reason why I'm doing it is because it's probably the simplest and tastiest and fastest pasta you can possibly make. It's kind of a tongue twister. I'm very much into the quality ingredients again. So imported Italian linguine, organic would be nice, and make sure an ingredient says 100% semolina wheat. That's it. Not like semolina wheat with like fortified with iron and this, just not that one, the good stuff. So you take the linguine, you boil it. al dente specifically, put in the strainer, drain it. You have the pesto, and I buy pre-made pesto. And again, the pesto itself is from Italy, imported, pre-made in a glass jar. All you have to do at that point is put the drained linguine back into the pan that you boiled it in, unscrew the pesto jar, scoop out all the pesto, drop it down into the linguine, then get extra virgin olive oil. I prefer Frantoa, which is the Sicilian brand. Good amount of olive oil. You can this is just to throw it all in, and you can add more olive oil as needed. Stir it up with the pesto, stir it all up, just get it all nice, evenly textured. You can tell by the way your spoon's going around if you need more olive oil, because the pesto isn't really enough and it'll be too clumpy and sticky. That means put more olive oil. You got to get the pesto completely around all the spaghetti. No spaghetti left behind. A linguine left behind, I should say. Get some, cherry tomatoes, cut them in half, maybe like a handful of cherry tomatoes, just cut them in half, spin them around in the pot with all the pesto and everything. That's it. Boom. Right onto the plate. It's that simple. It's literally one of the fastest and delicious pastas you can make. It's just no effort. All you have to do is cook the noodles.
Wonderful.
Yes.
What are we going to do now? What do we talk about next?
I think now is the astrology section, where we go into the astrological dimensional states of reality. Me and a-trak tell each other's horoscopes. I'm Aquarius, a-trak's Aries, and you want to start it off?
Sure. All right. Here is Armand's Aquarius horoscope for the week. Living in a shifting world can be so hard and so disorienting. It can make you crave a reality that's unchanging. Even if the stable world is a bad one, at least you know what to expect. At least you know what the rules are, so that you can choose to follow them or break them. This week, you'll have to embrace uncertainty. You might have to act before you're fully sure. You might have to make a choice before you know all the terms you're agreeing to. This week, feeling your way forward might be the best way to get where you need to be.
I am a break the rules pattern. I'm a habitual line stepper.
Yeah.
I will watch out this week.
Yeah. You're a good instinct follower, and I think this is just telling you, even if you don't fully know where it's taking you, to follow your hunch.
Instinct is everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost more important than what your senses tell you. Instinct should be like the sixth sense at this point. They should just scientifically say, yeah, that's actually next to sight and hearing. It's a thing.
The spidey sense.
My partner a-trak's horoscope. This week, you might feel like you're not made for these times, like you're too reckless and real and alive for a world that just wants to be docile and sensible. If life feels hard lately, remember that the problem has nothing to do with you. Rather, if there's a problem, it's that you're living in hostile conditions in a world that tries to stifle everything good and strange and sweet inside you. This week, try not to cave to the world's demands, but instead push back. Try to find ways to be free, to be you. Even yeah. So
I'm down with that. I like to fight for what I believe in.
Yes.
I'm not going to let the world push me over.
Yes, you're a champion.
Okay.
Literally. DMC champion.
Yeah. I think we're both excited about this week's episode. I think a lot of our viewers will be surprised to know so we're talking to Kenny Dope today, and you and Kenny.
Say Mr. Kenny Dope.
Mr. Kenny Dope.
Mr. Kenny, Sir.
Sir Kenny Dope.
Sir Kenny Dope.
Sir Kenny of Dope.
Sir Kenny is dope.
Masters at work and all his achievements by himself too. Big influence on both of us. Maybe even more of a direct influence on you in terms of the timeline, and then on me later on. But yeah, I was going to say maybe our viewers might be surprised that you and Kenny have, although you've crossed paths a bunch of times, you never really had like an extended conversation with the guy up until today, which is wild. If you could summarize in one sentence what Kenny means to you, what would you say?
Number one thing is his contribution to the New York house sound. Mm-hmm. And the New York house sound has a hip hop background, period. And that's something that people have to understand. Like Kenny Dope is in a sense, like he's premier of house music, or Jay Dilla of house music. You know what I mean? Like he is like quintessentially probably the best beat maker house music's ever had. without a question. He says in the interview that in this genre, drums are first. And it's true. Really, at the end of the day, this is house music. It's rhythmic first. Like it's drums, then bass. That's the definition of house music in its simplest forms. And I think Kenny, if not one of the most important people in house music, period, because he's harnessed the primal, most important things to house music and it's excelled this thing. He just excelled it for the future. And we're still trying to figure out his swing and all these things. So, I mean, it's just, you know, for me, I wouldn't be in this career if I wasn't trying to emulate him, you know, honestly. So that's Kenny Dope for you.
Let's bring him in.
Well, we should say welcome, Kenny Dope.
Welcome, Kenny Dope.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, really appreciate it, man, for sure.
Yeah.
Alain, you can start some stuff off, and I'll get in. So
sure. I mean, you know, maybe why don't we just start from the beginning, Kenny? I know you're from Brooklyn, right?
Yes, sir. Sunset Park.
So
Yeah, 70s baby.
70s baby. So all right. So actually, here's a question.
This year, you know,
that's dope.
Wow.
That's dope. So does that mean that you witnessed the start of hip hop?
Yeah.
Like, were you even DJing before hip hop was like formally a thing, or did you?
Well, I saw on my block in Brooklyn when I grew up, there was these two brothers across the street from the house. They would come set up outside on weekends. You know what I mean? That was the first time I seen anybody cut two records back to back, the same record.
Around what year?
I'm like, what is he doing? You know what I'm saying? This has got to be 1978.
Wow. That's crazy. That's
78, 79.
Yeah.
I was 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old. You know what I'm saying? I used to go to the store for my mom's on the corner, but on the same side of the block. But they were across the street. So I would just be like, you know what I mean? Just like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
And then I would go and they were cutting the part up. And I would come back and the same part was on. And I'm like, what are they doing? You know what I'm saying? I didn't understand what was happening.
And they were doing that outside?
They would do it in front of like their brownstone, like inside the gate.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They would set up their joints right there.
Shit right there.
Yeah, it was crazy. But at the same time, I was listening to the radio, you know, and recording and listening to stuff. And that was the first time I heard all that stuff. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
And then I found WHBI, which was awesome too. And I started listening to them and started recording. And that was the first thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Early on. And then obviously later Magic and Marley.
Recording on cassette off the radio, right? On cassette, right?
On cassette, yeah. You know, Red Alert, Chuck Chill Out, and all that kind of stuff. Mr. Magic came after that. And then on the dance side, you know, we were hearing Humphreys and Latin Rascals and a lot of that going on the same station.
On the same station.
It was crazy because once one show finished, the other show started. And the Rascals were infamous for doing
Wait a minute. How far back are we talking Latin Rascals right now? How far back?
83, 84.
What? I didn't know they went that back. I didn't know that. I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
There's some crazy tapes. I could send you some tapes, like some of that stuff. Them playing like prelude hip hop shit, like CD3 and all that kind of stuff. Like
CD3. That's crazy. Get tough and shit.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's
and
cool.
were they making like their edits and playing that kind of stuff?
Rascals had like half an hour.
Okay,
that's all they had.
That's it. Okay,
and then they would in that half an hour they were doing edits, so they would actually record that stuff and pre-record it and play it.
Yeah.
So but they were crazy, and then later on they went to Paco, who had this Paco Super Mix.
Okay,
and then they were doing the shows on that too, but those were 15 minutes.
Wow.
They were weird. They were like maybe 13 minutes because of drops and for commercials.
Yeah.
It was weird.
So
17 minutes something.
Yeah. Is it safe to say they were like the first like a mega mix? It's kind of like that
Yeah,
that term,
that's
right?
exactly what it was.
Yeah, got it.
They were just crazy the way
Like
they
what's it Joe and Steinsky or Junebug and Steinsky?
Double D and Steinsky.
Oh,
Double D is the hip hop
Yeah,
line 1, 2.
yeah, the lesson.
Yeah.
But something like that, right?
Yeah, but even crazier than that.
Oh, even crazier.
Crazier than that. Their
Okay.
thought process was crazy, like how they used to edit. And
Okay.
I don't know if you guys ever did this making records and stuff, but editing is very technical and it's mathematical. Like you got to know like the way the chops come in and the way
You're
they
talking about real to real edits. Yes.
Yeah, real to real edits is like all like it's all by measurements and stuff like that. It's crazy. Like the kick, how much the kick is this and the snare and the hi-hats, and they would trip them out.
Yeah.
So all this stuff that we do in Ableton now, they were doing on tape with razors.
That's
sure.
right. Even before, was this before Omar Santana? It was before him?
Yeah. Omar came out, and Omar took it to the next level. Because his thought process was even crazier.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he was doing like breaks and beats and just stutter edits and all kinds of weird. Like now you have a plugin that does that, right?
Yeah.
And he was doing this on tape, you know?
Yeah. So when I listen to, I'm sure you know the Sweet Sensation, Hooked on You dub.
Crazy.
That thing is that's reel to reel tape, and I play it for people, and I'm telling them every single chop is like an inch or a half inch or these little things that they cut, tape, put back together, played it, and guess what? Maybe it was off. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they had to like do it.
Crazy. Yeah, you couldn't mix over that part of the record. You couldn't mix it was like all over the place.
Yeah.
So what's crazy about that is, so we're talking the 80s. I'm 13, 83, 84, 14. I get a job at a record store in 85.
Okay.
In my neighborhood. Now, at the store, I meet obviously other kids, other DJs, other whatever, not producers yet, but we meet other guys that are, with similar tastes and all that kind of stuff. So I meet this kid named Franklin Martinez. Now he was more sick than Omar.
What?
Kid.
That's great.
Now that was his idol.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Back then. But he was just like crazy sick with it, man.
Yeah.
And he came up, what's crazy is he came up with the name Masters at Work.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This guy, Franklin Martinez.
Franklin Martinez. So
wow, okay.
Now another good friend of mine who I still in touch with and everything, Mike Delgado, you might have seen his name.
I know Mike Delgado. Yeah.
Okay. So Mike was the other Masters at Work. Master at Work.
Okay. You know what? So Todd gave me this story a little bit too.
So now it's us three creating this thing, right?
Okay.
So then through the store and all that, we meet Todd because Mike knew some mutual friends that Todd knew or whatever. So Todd, being from Brighton Beach, would come to our area, and then we all linked up. At that time, Todd was already getting his feet wet with some stuff.
Yeah.
He already did Bad Boys, the Inspector Gadget.
Inspector Gadget, right? Yeah.
He already did. He was working with Houdini.
Yeah.
He was working with. He was friends with the CD3 guys, so he was already doing records. And then he came in, and we was like, that was like next level for us because we were just doing our parties in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? And here he was coming with these reel-to-reel tapes of stuff he was working on.
Yeah.
Which was like early on Black Riot.
Shit. Okay.
Unreleased stuff that I still got. Party People with no samples on it.
Okay.
Just the track. Just the track with the drums with the chords in it, and that's it.
Yeah.
So we were playing this stuff at the parties. So he was like, oh, so then it kept growing from there.
Yeah.
But then like this whole mystique about Todd with Masters at Work, and it was basically that he was already starting to do different records under different names.
Yes.
For contractual reasons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he was like, yo, I need the name. He was like, can I use Masters at Work? I was like, go ahead. But I'm planning to do this. I want it back. So that's why he released them 2 joints.
Yeah.
Masters at Work. And then when we was ready.
That's on here. Listen.
is ready to go. Right. So,
so it's funny, like
history, Brooklyn history there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Kenny, even just listening to you talk, there's so many things that you've already mentioned where I was aware of a piece of it, of what you're talking about, but I never thought of the reason. So even just mentioning like how, by the way, even just both of you have had so many aliases, I never even thought of the simple fact that it was because you're assigning records to different labels.
Yeah.
That's probably why you had the aliases.
It was two reasons. A, we wanted a lot of records out at the same time. And the only way to have a lot of records out at the same time was to go under different names.
Mm.
Right? Yeah. Secondly, it was because of the contracts. Like Goose was trying to lock you up for 10 records, especially when they saw new talent coming through. So they were like, yo, we want this, boom, boom, boom. But like, nah, okay, you could do that, have that name.
Yeah.
And then go over here, and then go over here. Because, it's about exposure, right? So basically, that was our social media, so to speak. That was our way to get out and for people to hear us, was to do records and time them. Yeah. So you have on a Friday, 4 joints came out on a Friday, same time, different label.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was the thing. So now you're creating a buzz. You're also creating a fan base because now these kids keep coming back wanting product. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I took it a step further when I started doing the stuff with Louis and stuff, like on Cutting and these labels. I was like, look, I'm a hip hop head. I started playing reggae and hip hop. That was my thing.
Mm-hmm. Right?
The house came after.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you that, like, how specific is it? What's the specific story? Because your background's similar to mine. We're kind of the same age. I also was hip hop first, then house. Mm-hmm. What's the thing? What's the house record that you were like, what's the track that you were like, whatever that is, that's dope. And I think I want to try and make that. And then, and secondly, who introduced you to, who played that record for you or told you about house music and kind of brought you into that perspective?
The store introduced me to house.
Okay.
It's 1985.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, one of the things about working at the store, I had to learn about all kinds of music.
Yep.
The boss, Joe, the owner, was like, look, you came here a few times to get a job. You want to work here. You got to know about rock music. You got to know about Latin music. You got to learn about all this other craziness, alternative, this and that, and that, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you want the job, right? But that was the best thing that ever happened to me, man, when he told me that shit. Because basically now I got to soak it up. Now, somebody comes in the store singing some record, I got to know what it is. I'm on the floor.
Yeah.
I'm the first person they come into.
Yeah.
Right? So now I'm starting to learn about a lot of stuff. Now there's this one little section, a cutout section, is the dollar bin, right? This dude used to bring these dollar records every week and a half. That's where all the breaks were.
Yeah.
And I realized that when I started seeing these records, I'm like, what's that? So my boss was like, look, he's the one who first told me about Bob James.
Okay.
He's like, Bob James is too smooth, but he's got breaks on his stuff. He straight up told me, because he was a Led Zeppelin head. Okay. he knew about, you know what I'm saying? Like, so he introduced me to that. But that was the best thing, being at that store, because I learned about everything. And looking back at it now, it was the best seasoning that you could have because of that. So now, to answer your question, so we're at 85. You have freestyle music, Latin hip hop, right? You have hip hop, rap stuff, right? You got this house stuff coming in. They called disco classics so far at that time. Let No Man Put Us Under, the South Soul things. That was already disco classics at that time. But house comes in. I'm like, what is this? Right? So now I graduated a little bit, right? So now I'm buying for the store. I'm talking to distributors now, right? So There's a distributor in Chicago called Barney's. There's a few different S&J in the Bronx. There was a bunch of them. They all had different stuff. So my job was to bring in the titles. I get introduced. I didn't know what house was. I'm a hip hop and reggae. I'm like, what is this stuff? But anyway, people started asking for it because at that same time, the garage was still open. Larry Band was still playing. There was people in the neighborhood, older heads, that was going out to the city. They would come back and they wanted these records. Some of these records were he was playing them really early. Some of them were out. They were coming out. So Tracks happened to be that label that first came, then DJ International. So I was bringing all that stuff in. And then I used to deal with this other distributor called Gherkin.
Yeah.
Who, he was the one who put out the first finger stuff and all that. You know what I mean? So that was the first thing about, listening
which one hit you then? Like, if you could think of one in particular that you were like basically what I'm asking is what's the one that you were like, I want to try that now? Like, I know we're jumping ahead a little.
So check it out. So I'm getting to that. So these records are in. Now I'm like, I could do this stuff. No. And in my head, I'm like saying to myself, because I've from 83 to the time period, I'm at home trying to figure out what the James Brown breaks, like the sounds. I didn't understand what was happening yet. I'm trying to figure out. So I'm reprogramming these records, but with a drum machine. But I'm not getting the same sound. Like, how? But so I'm playing around with this. Yeah. So when the house stuff came in, I started doing house breaks first.
Yeah, exactly.
Like beat records.
Yeah.
Because what I was doing was I made those first because when we were doing our parties, they were I used them as segues. So I would chop up some stuff or sample some stuff and make a beat and then mess with it. But when I heard Adonis, when I heard Can You Feel It, when I heard Marshall Jefferson, when those records came in, I was like, wow, that's a whole nother lane. And mind you, during this whole process, I'm soaking up all this music. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm learning about arrangements. The house music with vocals makes sense to me because I'm already in the store. I'm selling all this music. So it's like it's forming. Yeah. Like my brain is starting to form and my style is starting to form and I'm experimenting, you know what I mean? And it's taking shape little by little. But the store made that happen. You know what I'm saying? The store made that happen.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm when you did the conversation with Jazzy Jeff on Serato's podcast, I remember you said something that tripped me out, where you explained that when you were making those break records and you would put like a reggae vocal over a hip hop beat, you said that you would use that as a transition in your set if you were trying to go from hip hop to reggae or the other way around. I never thought about it that way, that it was a tool to go from one genre to another in the set.
We didn't have anything else.
Yeah.
Make it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You had to make it to make that happen. You know what I'm saying? And it was, my thing was, again, going back to the Rascals, going back to Humphreys, going back to all the stuff that I'm listening to as a kid, like as I was younger.
Yeah.
Like, that'll be dope if I take this beat and put this over this, and then I have this to unify it, and then I could play it, boom, and then I come out, and then I'm here, and then I'm there. You know what I mean? So it's early Serato, it's early all the stuff that you do. A-trak, you know what I'm saying? Like it's all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we had to put it on reel to reel to play it because we wasn't making acetates every week. And we didn't have the money.
You had a reel to reel at the club.
You bring the reel to the club.
At the club. It wasn't a club. Okay. Where we did the parties at, this shit was on top of Tom McCann. Remember Tom McCann's shoe store?
Yeah, I do know Tom McCann.
Anybody old enough to see, remember Tom McCann's shoe store? Well, anyway.
I do remember Tom McCann, yeah.
Okay, Tom McCann was like the cheap shoe store that was in the neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
We used to rent the top atomic can because my man's father ran Little League baseball, and he did his Little League baseball on top. So he was like, on the weekends, it was open.
Okay.
So it was like a rooftop party.
No, it was on top of Atomic Can, and the floor.
Just all the space
like,
on top of Atomic Can. Got it.
Yeah, it was like the floor it was like bouncy. It was crazy. It was like we were gonna end up in the shoes once, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah. So we rented that spot, and we had 2 turntables, a mixer, and we had the reel to reel, and we used to make these blends. Yeah. Put them on reel, boom, play them in, mix them in. Used to use the Techniques U-Reel, had a pitch control. Yeah. And then mix them in, just boom, and then go from wherever. And that's how Todd used to bring us all the unreleased stuff too.
On the reel.
On the reel reels, yeah.
Crazy.
But it's
sorry, Alan, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, I was just to stay on the party records, Greek record theme for a sec. Because Kenny, I mean, I think you're credited as the first person to make or at least release
100
party breaks.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And from the way you're telling the story, it sounds like you were probably influenced by the dudes that you were hearing on the radio, Latin Rascals, and you took that idea of but what's the thing that's blowing my mind is when you're talking about how some of those guys on the radio, like Latin Rascals, they had such short time slots. I never thought of the fact that they were making mega mixes because the station would only give them like 15 or 30 minutes.
That's it.
Right? So and so you took that and made party breaks that you actually released on wax. You were the first to put those out.
Initially, I made them like I said, for segues.
Yeah.
And like the way it was crazy. 2 things. When I did Blood Vibes with Junior Reed, which was a huge record in Brooklyn for us for playing. But at the same time...
Was that before Super?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And at the same time, you got Tribe Called Quest, Bonita Applebum, 1990.
Yeah.
Big record.
Yeah.
Now, Louis playing at Roseland at this time.
The Freestyle Club.
He's playing for like 3,000 Latin kids, Puerto Rican.
Roseland was predominantly freestyle, or is it hip-hop as well?
He played everything. He played hip hop. He played hip hop. He played reggae. He played freestyle. He played house. He played everything.
Okay, cool.
Now you go to this club. Junior Reed One Blood was huge for him, and Bonita Applebum was banging right at that time. Just the vibe.
Yeah.
Thing. I was like, I need to put those 2 together. And if you listen to the record, it's both them records together, and that's and. When I did that, I gave it to Louis and I gave it to Dave Morales. And Dave Morales was playing at Red Zone. He was playing hip hop too.
Yep.
It was crazy.
That is.
So, same thing. The Hot Dance did it in house. It was a house record.
Yeah.
It did that whole thing. I know I probably shouldn't mention, but watching a movie after I knew the Hot Dance song, I heard the line. I'm not sure if I should even say what it is, where you got the vocal from. Yeah.
And I'm literally like, what? It's all I can say is it's from a movie. That's all I'm going to say. But I was like, I don't know how you turn that thing into that track. And the effect you have on it, especially when it gets middle to the end and like this weird delay you have on it.
It was, again.
That's a crazy record.
Thank you. Again, it's that mixing of making collages, right?
Yeah.
Painting right now, right? You got different colors, right?
Yeah.
So you got that vocal and
but I mean, where did it come from? Obviously you were being funny.
I'm in the club. The club. Now there's a seduction record that has a piece of it in there.
I didn't know that. Okay.
That CNC Music Factory did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, they ain't do that shit right. I was like, let me make something for us to play.
Got it.
And that was it. And that was basic. Wow. And I'm basically taking the drum pattern is first choice, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let no man put us under.
Yeah.
But the siren and all that. Louis used to use that as a transition too. He used to put that over stuff. And that effect, And that effect, when I heard that, I was like, okay. So then I kind of made it follow. I made it follow the vocal.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy.
It's just playing around.
Yeah, but I get it. Speaking of that, what equipment did you first use? I'm assuming SP1200, but I'm not sure. So
listen, man.
Yeah,
very primitive.
Okay,
man, it was like I had first I had a Casio RZ1.
Okay, yeah,
that's what I did, like Petey Weestraw and all them records.
Wow.
And then from that, I had SP1200, 950.
Yeah.
I had a Tascam, which I still got, actually, a 30, 2524, which is a 24 channel board.
So yeah.
I had a tape machine.
Yeah.
And a cassette deck.
Yeah.
And records. That's it.
Yeah.
Records.
Yeah, of course. That's amazing. Yeah. That's cool.
I made a lot of records. That setup alone, I made a lot of records with that setup for a while.
Yeah.
You know, like even like moving into 90s, 91, 92, when I started working when me and Louis formed Masters of Work, the production team, not so much the DJ crew, it was still the same. Like Saint Etienne, same setup. When I started doing all those records, all those remixes, it was still that setup.
I love that. You know, it is if they say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that gives you your sound. It's kind of like when we talk about RZA or something, like what you have, kind of your minimal equipment, you kind of make your best stuff on it for your life. Like that ends up being the best thing you've ever done. And as soon as you get, I'm going to try and upgrade and get to the next level.
But you know how it is, man.
It's never as good again. So
you start making noise with stuff, and then you start making some money.
Yeah.
So you want to buy more stuff.
Yep.
But then all it does is it kind of like it dampens your whole.
It does. It really does.
Like closes you up, man.
It does.
You know what I'm saying? Because even yourself, like you had when you did that string of records, had a sound.
Yeah.
It was a sound there.
Exactly.
But then after a while, you changed.
Yeah.
I don't know what you changed.
Yeah.
But whatever you switched up on.
Yeah.
It changed the whole Armand.
It does.
You know
all you can hope for is that the change is for the better, but sometimes it ain't. So
more is less, right?
Yeah.
I always tell Todd. I always joke with Todd because I've been fighting with Todd for years. I'm like, listen, you need to make some of them old kind of records again.
Yeah.
So I told him, I said, listen, I'm gonna find every piece of gear that you had.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna set up a joint. Yeah. And we were supposed to do this year, actually.
Oh yeah.
Find a board, and Todd's board was a PA board, like they use for PAs.
For live?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ramza. This
terrible.
Okay. Yeah. But that board, he had the sound. He had it. He was making crazy hits with that.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to get the board. I'm going to put the RZ1. The samplers. I'm going to bring in the keyboard and the tape machine, and I'm locking you in the room.
I love it.
I'm giving you a Creative Records.
I love it. Well, those SP1200 discs, though, they don't load. You got to like blow on them and shake them. You know, like right? Those old the 1200 discs.
They load. You got
to bang them around.
We were talking about this yesterday.
You got to bang on the side and shit. They load.
But it's interesting hearing both of you talk because Armand, I remember when you and I started working more together, I was like, you surprised me a lot when you would tell me stories about how even like in the 90s you were starting to produce on computers. Armand, you always embraced new technology quick.
I did. I was early on the computer game. Like
what were you using when you did Professional Widow, and what you did?
So I also had minimal setup, but my main piece that I figured out. So I had no mentor. Like I was coming from Boston. I wasn't originally from New York, so I had nobody to show me anything. So I ended up at like a music store in Boston, and I saw. Do you know Edo G and the Bulldogs?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
I don't know him personally, but I know you're talking about. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So their producer's name was Joe Mansfield. And he,
I know Joe.
Yeah, so that was the first time I seen. He lived in his mom's basement, and it's the first time I saw that all these like "It Takes Two" is a James Brown loop, And then he had all the ultimate breaks and beats, and then he would have them on the emulator too, and he's showing me like, and chop drums, and I'm losing my mind. And I was like, because I knew how to program at that point on drum machines, just get by on certain little MIDI and keyboards. But I was like, I want a sampler. So what I bought, I had no mentor, but I saw the emulator too, but it was a bit out of my range. So I went to the store, figured out this thing does what I needed to do, which was the Roland W30.
Oh my God, that's what you use?
That's it. That Roland W30, I did all of them records, all my early records of Roland W30, basically up to probably 1997. So I used it for like a good 4 years or so.
Sound, like we're talking about sound, right? Sonics, right?
Yeah.
Like you got to tell Roland, say, yo, I need that shit on steroids right now because I want to make some new.
By the way, I still have my W30, so I can use it. By the way,
what I'm saying is we need that beefed up. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you're able to do more shit with it.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. That's dope.
Yeah. So, by the way, how did you meet Louis Vega? We got to know that story. So,
Louis, I met through Todd.
Okay.
And
is it because of the freestyle connection with Todd and Louis, or is it just
Todd and Louis were already working together?
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Louis was big on the freestyle side, right? He was doing Cover Girls. He did Noel. He did all those big hip hop records, right? Mm-hmm. Now Todd was already he was starting to do those records too, as well too.
The choral records and stuff.
So when he was bringing them records to the club, that's how they linked up. Got it. There's a few records like DMS, like that Louis mixed for Todd. Black Riot records that he mixed for Todd. So they were doing like Louis was doing records for Todd. Todd was doing records for Louis.
Okay.
So to speak. So then I had put out on Dope Wax, I had put out this record, A Touch of Salsa.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, that's right here.
That came out, and Louis was playing at the club, and Louis told Todd, "I was like, yo, I got this record. I'm really digging this record." He used a Latin sample. He's like, and Todd looked at the record. He's like, "Oh, that's Kenny from the neighborhood." And he's like, "Oh, you know him?" He's like, I want to remix that song. Louis says to Todd. So he's like, I'll hook it up. Louis calls me up. He's like, yo, I would like to remix it. I'm like, look, I have the parts or whatever. This is how I'm doing it. Whatever. The record never happened. So fast forward a little bit. He's like, I'm working with Mark Anthony on this album.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's like, I'm working on Mark Anthony. I got to deal with Atlantic. He's like, I want you to come in and see if you have any ideas. I said, okay, no problem, whatever. Mm-hmm. So I go in. So I'm like, I'm hearing the beats or whatever, and I'm like, yo, like, give me a machine. So at that time, I'm like I said, I'm already gearing. This is 89, 90. So I'm already 5 years in the house, like losing my mind, trying to figure things out, figuring breaks out, this and that, boom, programming and all that. So I started doing the drums on the records. And then when that happened, when he saw that, he was like, he saw the light bulb lit up and he was like, let's do something.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, whatever, let's do something. So I had the name, and that's that's pretty much how it clicked. So the record never happened, the remix never happened, but we have.
Do you remember the first? Do you remember the first record you guys put out together outside of that Mark Anthony record? Like as you and Louis as a team, as Masters at Work? I can't recall.
That was the first record. The
first record was the Ride on the Rhythm record.
Yeah. There was that. There was an India record I did with him.
Okay.
I think that the Chrissy Ice record, there was a Chrissy Ice record.
Yeah.
There was Chris Cuevas, who was Debbie Gibson's boyfriend.
The hip hop, that one?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That came after Debbie Gibson, though, because he.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I gotta say something in this interview about the Debbie Gibsons, because this is important. This is something that I had a revelation on. This is for all remix for anybody. This is unknown knowledge. Of course, Kenny lived it and Louis lived it, but I don't think a lot of people notice. And it's specifically me when I was coming up, something that was, to me, that turned the corner, that Debbie Gibson. So there was a Debbie Gibson remix of One Step Ahead, right? Mm-hmm. On Atlantic Records, Masters at Work mix, right? And what Kenny and Louis did I don't understand how even they got away with it. Maybe it's a Craig Cowman thing or something. But
I'll tell you why.
so they get hired for this remix. Like Debbie Gibson's this pop artist. I'm sure they were like, whatever, the stems are trash. That they basically probably had some tracks on the wing, and they were just like, this is genius. They go, we're just going to, this recent track we made, we're just going to give them that. And they sampled like Debbie Gibson saying like, ah. It's like every 8 bars, it would be like, ah. And I'm like, and it's a master. Basically, it's an original Masters at Work song.
Yeah.
Put into a Debbie Gibson remix, but it says Masters at Work remix. But then everybody killed the record. It was massive because everybody's like, well, it doesn't have anything to do to get Debbie Gibson. It's just an amazing track for the clubs right now. Mm-hmm. But that is when I got my first remix offers. I was like, I'm going to do that because that, like Kenny was saying earlier about having a Friday and having 4 releases. That was also another hustle. So, but they invented, that was the first record that changed it for everybody where you could go, I have the power, not the A&R. Mm-hmm. I have the leverage. I want to do this. And the A&Rs would be like, there isn't anything in this remix from the original parts. And you were like, that's what I'm doing. And they would be like, okay. And they put it out and it would be big. But you guys invented that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think a lot of people know that. So
yeah, it's crazy because what happened was Louis, like I said, Louis playing all this freestyle stuff.
Yeah.
The black crowd wasn't fucking with him.
Yeah.
At all. Now, Louis can play his ass off. Like he gets busy. You know what I'm saying? But he was like, I did all this stuff. He's like, but I want to do house music. I was like, all right, whatever, easy, right? He's like, but, I got these remixes to do. I said, well, why don't we just let's put something out on the flip side that has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you you might not know, but they wanted Debbie in the clubs. It wasn't gonna be with her shit.
Yeah.
It wasn't gonna happen. Not in the clubs that they wanted her to be in. They wanted chart. They wanted a chart. They wanted Billboard. They wanted that, right?
They meaning the label, right?
Yeah, they wanted her to chart, but she was already pop. Yeah. She was huge. She was young.
Like the Britney Spears of her time, basically.
Right. Doing her thing. And she was mad cool too. We did that stuff in her house.
Oh wow. Okay.
Studio. So they're like, all right. So we came up with, at that time, a deep, you could call it Chicago, you could call it influences from wherever. Mm-hmm. And basically whatever the gear we had at that time, that's how we created that. But that's basically what that was. And then Chris Cuevas, who was going out with her at the time, he was signed to Atlantic too.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, well, we want you to do a mix for him too. All right, whatever. And at that same time, I was in the Warner Group, so I was doing a lot of that stuff. So it was all in the same building. So once we would go there, we go to Elektra, we would go to Warner Brothers, and everybody was just like, yo, we got this, boom, we got this, boom. And then we would go to work and then come back, and that's how it was.
Yeah. You know? The main thing you guys did was you were really just not using any of the parts from these songs. Like that's the main thing. Like you would get just little tiny bits of it, and you guys would just make true club records. You know what I mean? So
that joint was to get our foot in the door. So people listening would know, okay, they could do that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a test. It was just basically to show, okay, we could do these dubs.
Yeah.
This is what we got.
Yeah.
And that was the stepping stone, was to put that out and for people to see like, oh wow, who are these dudes?
Yeah.
Really? And like I said, Mark was on Atlantic.
Yeah.
Debbie was on Atlantic, Chris was on Atlantic. You know, and then everything came right after that. Everything just kept coming from those records, because then you had Epic. They had their thing over there. They had Little Louis, and they had all these other acts. Then once we started traveling to Europe, we would do the same thing. We would go to the labels in England, in London.
Hmm.
And they would, oh, we just did blah, blah, blah. Listen to this. Do you like that? Do you hear anything? And that was it. But honestly, that was the first one. But after that, we had to hear something in the record to inspire us to do the mix, because there came a point that people were just throwing things at us just to do and paying you tons of money to do this. And I was just like, nah, I can't. Nah, there's nothing in it for me to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
you didn't. But what it is you didn't need that early leverage where you kind of did it with the Debbie Gibson. Now you guys were already big, so you didn't necessarily need to do. Like, I'm sure you didn't really like much of the things in the Debbie Gibson song. You get what I'm saying? But you still took the job, and you guys figured that out. But later, it's like,
the thing about it is you got to understand. Like, this is like that's like if you say to me, "Yo, I'm working on this record. I need you to come in and give me your input," right? I'm gonna come in and give you my input, right? Now, at that time, like I said, Mark we did the album. So now we got the A&R. I was like, yo, I need your help, man. Like, we're trying to like get them play spins over here. Boom, 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 boom. So it was kind of a solid. At the same time, we got paid. It was a solid, but at the same time, he's like, you know what? Let's do this too, because this is gonna help us too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how it went down. You know?
But all right, so I have a question also, thinking about this timeline. You know, coming up primarily as a hip hop and reggae fan, like you said, right? Was there initially, did you have aspirations of producing other artists? And was there a point where you realized you could just make your own music? Because eventually you became mostly known for making your own music and remixes.
I had a group called Chaos.
Okay. Was it called? Oh, Chaos. Yeah.
Chaos. Yeah.
I did a record with Todd, which is on the original Bad Boy, not Puffy's Bad Boy.
Yeah.
With Bad Boy through Islas, which was the whole Warlock, Coney Island.
Bad Boy was Todd's label, right? That was
Todd had La House. Bad Boy was part of Tony B, who had Idlers, that label Idlers. The label is Jungle Brothers.
Yeah, sure.
MC Search's first record was on Idlers, you know, before Third Base and all that.
Yeah.
So, but I had an album that I did with Todd.
The Courts in Session, right?
Chaos. Yeah. So that was the first thing. So originally I wanted to do hip hop, but at that time, and still to this day, everything's about crews, man. So you had a DJ, you had a producer, and you had an MC.
Yeah.
I had no MCs.
Right.
I had beats. I had no MCs. So I tried it with the Chaos thing. That didn't really, at that time, which I didn't even know, like, it's a classic in the underground scene. Like, it goes for money.
Yeah.
Like the test pressing goes for like $2,000. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But
there's cassette copies of it too, right?
Yeah, it's cassettes too.
For rare.
I wanted to do hip hop. Yeah. The house thing was like, I could do that.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was already like, so one thing led to another. I started, and actually let's rewind a little bit, because Dope Wax was given to me by Frank Mendez, who was New Groove Records.
Oh, New Groove, yeah, Frank Mendez from New Groove. Oh, I didn't know he gave you that. So that was distributed through New Groove?
His wife.
I knew that. I'm sorry.
His wife was friends with my boss, who owned the record store.
Okay.
There it is.
So when I said to him, I'm like, I really want to go, like, I want to start making records. He was like, all right, boom. He linked me. Frank Mendez, blessed this man.
Yeah.
He took me to Sam Ash and said, take whatever you want.
Okay.
Oh, yeah?
That's how I got my first.
You got your equipment.
Yep. He bought me all this shit. He's like, just make me records.
What? That's cool.
That's how that
like, did he do that story for Joey Beltram too? I know that's not where this is.
I don't know, but he might have.
Okay.
He might have.
Okay. That's interesting.
That was his style. He was just like, he Cuban crazy nut. You know what I'm saying? Like running a mile a minute. You know what I'm saying? Like high as hell. Like just
80s coke.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And just, but was like, make me some records.
Wow. That's crazy. I didn't know that. That's crazy. That's really cool.
All that through the record store.
Record store, man. I still keep in touch with him. He's in Detroit. I still keep in touch with him. Just check on him and stuff. And
that's cool.
I owe that man a lot, man, because he taught me a lot, like business. He taught me music. He taught me ethics. You know what I'm saying? He taught me how to speak to people.
Yeah.
The store environment. How to, approach, how to, even though if you didn't like something, swallowed it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you're there for people, right? So now all these things come into play when you're DJing, when you're booking shows, you're talking to promoters.
Yeah.
It's all the same. It's all relative. Yeah. But it's like he's seasoning me, not even knowing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's cool. I have something to say about that, actually, which you understand, Kenny, well, you may not know this because me and you have never really had a chop up. This is the most we've talked ever, which is kind of crazy.
Because I used to see Armand in the club.
Okay. Yeah, but let me tell him the story before you go to, because this is something I don't want to forget to say. Because so when I was coming up, I had moved from Boston, New York. I was coming up, and the main thing that I can explain to people is that you had to meet. For most people, we were the general public. We looked at Todd Terry, Kenny Dope, Louis Vega, Dave Morales, Tony Humphries, Frankie Knuckles, MK, Merck. Okay, I might be missing some people, but basically that we saw that we're the commoners, if you want to say, and we're seeing these guys. I'm going to Sound Factory Bar on Wednesday, and I'm seeing them, and they were literally, I'm not playing with you, were like the gods of the Parthenon. Like you guys were like everything that we aspired to be. My sound that I was coming up with early, I would just dissect your records, dissect Todd and Pal Joey. That's another one. And because I have also the hip hop background, it's a house changeover. Yeah. And I was literally trying to emulate you in any way possible. These are records I didn't put out, but I was just basically copying you. And what I noticed when I moved to New York was you guys would have a crew around you at the bar, like 2 or 3 people thick.
We were deep.
Yeah. Of the commoners like me, the come up guys, like the guys that maybe have a record out on some BS label or whatever, like just the people trying to come up. And they would just hoard around Kenny, Todd, and everybody, just like anywhere they shifted, they would follow them. And I was just like, I can't do this, man. I was like, I can't like follow these guys around. I'm gonna make them come to me. That was like one of my statements. I was like, I'm not gonna be next to these guys, try and come next to them. I'm gonna make them come to me. And then one day, you may not remember this, at the Fontainebleau, I think I knew Todd a little bit, and then Todd introduced me to you, and you were mad nice. You were like, yo, I know this dude. Come here. You hanging with us. You told me. And I was literally like, oh my God. And that means I got into that inner circle thing, just for like a hang at the Fontainebleau, by the pool at WMC.
Yeah.
And it was literally like, we talked for a second, a little bit. You were like, yeah. And you were giving me like 2 or 3 lines of amazing advice. You were like, I don't remember exactly what it was, but you were saying something to the effect about get your money. I think it was like you were like, yo, whatever, this, that, get it up front, get your money. And I was like, okay. And I was like, check. I was like, but the coolest thing was I hung with y'all, but I didn't know what to say. So I just was like, I'm with them. And I just stood there and I was happy, but I didn't really I saw how people bothered you guys. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what's crazy?
I was very quiet. I just stayed very quiet. But I was so happy you did that for me, man, because that meant the world to me. So I'm just letting you know that. So
that's what's up, man. But no, if you remember, it was my crew from Brooklyn.
Yeah,
that rolled with me.
Yep. Yeah.
It was that circle, and that's it. You ain't coming in the circle.
No, you ain't.
All the other motherfuckers around. Whatever. Now, if I'm bringing you into the circle, yes, you are with us, and you're gonna move with us.
Yeah, exactly.
And whatever is gonna happen, we're moving together.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, and like, before that, a lot of the older guys, they wasn't letting people in.
Yeah.
They wanted them to themselves.
Yeah.
We had a break in.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna hear us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they wasn't letting us in.
Yeah.
They wanted all the work. They had all the labels on lock.
Mm-hmm.
They was keeping it to themselves.
Yeah.
But when we came in, we had that Brooklyn mentality. It's like, look, if we're gonna move, let's move as a unit, and let's conquer what we had to conquer, and let's keep going. And everybody go spread out and do your shit. Make your moves. Yeah. You know, that was our mindset. Yeah. No, it wasn't so much that, oh, you know what, Armand, if I let Armand in, he's gonna come in and take from us. Nah. You know what? If anything, let's show him the ropes. Let's let him do what he's got to do, and boom, he's out of here. Do what you got to do. I ain't mad at that. And that's what it's about. You know, but there's certain dudes that their egos are so big that they were intimidated by anybody coming to the table or anybody trying to come into the circle. You know what I'm saying? And you got to recognize people's talent for and who they are and as a person too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you could tell, you know, we from Brooklyn, you're around so many different nationalities and so many different types of people that's how you're brought up. You know what I'm saying? In my neighborhood was primarily Puerto Rican, but up the street, I had Jewish that were friends of ours. I had Italians to the next. I had African-American and Jamaican over here. You know what I'm saying? And we all meshed. It wasn't about, oh, you're black or you're white or this or that. Or people's religion. Like, that shit didn't even matter. It was just like, yo, he's cool. Right. Or you know what? Boom. Yo, check this out. He's showing us this. We don't even know about that kind of music. What's that? Yeah, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? So that whole thing about the separation, like today, how everything's so separate, that shit bothers me, man. Like, you know, so it's like, it's about, you know, pushing forward and as much as we could push forward, and that's it, you know? So, but there was a lot of talent at that time, like ready, like itching to get in, you know what I'm saying? Same thing. And that club, especially a-trak. So he was talking about Sound Factory Bar. It was this one club that Louis played out on a Wednesday night where it was only new music constantly. So everybody would bring their new shit to the club and he would play it. Okay. But it was rocking though. Yeah. And downstairs they had another little room where they play hip hop and reggae downstairs. Yeah. But it was an industry night. Yeah. So you had all the labels, all the artists, all the producers and DJs on a Wednesday night. Yeah. And that was popping for a long time.
I know. Dude, that place actually it was magic. It was like, it was just how you
I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you remember, it got competitive too.
I know.
Because it's like, oh shit, you heard Dude's record he did, boom, boom. Yeah. Yo, we gotta outdo that shit. Yeah, and then it was like the back and forth, you know?
Yeah. The growth that the New York house music scene exploded, I think, because of that place. Like, in other words, it was that time frame that Masters at Work were basically the top to me, in my opinion, and nobody else in the world that did house music could even compete with you guys. We could, because you guys were bringing in the new Eureka Soul. You were bringing in live musicians. You were, working with George Benson and, the tracks with India and everybody's just like, we were just still catching up. It was like it was, but it all happened in that club. Like Louis broke Love and Happiness in that club. I was there that day. I still have chills thinking about it. Like, it's just that club would be the place that now it would start right there. Louis would drop the acetate from Europa Disc or wherever it was. Boom. And then it would be like, you witnessed it. And then it's like, now the whole world is going to know the song. And that's exactly how it went.
Check it out.
You would be right there. It was crazy.
Social media.
Yeah, nothing.
No phone.
Yeah, because I don't know if people know the concept of the industry night nowadays. Yeah. Because the way you guys are describing the scene then just even the idea that the label people and the DJs and the artists were hanging out at the same place. You don't really get that in other scenes. Even in hip hop, you don't really get the label person and the rappers hanging out in the club.
The thing about it is, it wasn't just house people. They
Yeah,
was hip-hop
people.
Yeah.
Like, it was just a mixture of everyone because the night was popping. It was just like, yo, ain't nobody gonna mess with you. You go there.
Yeah. It's true.
And you could go have a drink, chill out.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I saw mad rappers there. I saw Naughty by Nature in there, Queen Latifah.
Everybody came through there.
Full Force would be there on a regular. It's like
everybody.
Like, it was like mad people in there, like just mad heads would roll on there. Yeah, that was a crazy club. It's an amazing club. Basically, it turned into Cheetah. Remember that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it turned into a big rap club after that. It was a little weird for me. It was a bit like kind of heartbreaking a little bit. I love my hip hop, but it was like I felt like I don't know this space in this environment like this. But it was fine after a while. But yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, Kenny, when Armand mentions, working with musicians, that was something I wanted to ask about too. Like, how and when did that process happen? What was it like for you and Louis to even just to learn how to interact with live musicians and to know how to get the right takes and all that? What was that like?
It was natural because we got to a point where we wanted to bring more into it.
Yeah.
Wanted to bring more to the table.
Yeah.
Instead of, having a keyboard player play a bass line, we brought in a bass player.
Yeah.
Let's try that.
Yeah.
From bass, it turned into bass and guitar.
Yeah.
All right, so that's cool. Now let's bring the percussion in.
Yeah.
And it just kept growing.
Yeah. But the thing is, the implementation of what you guys did, the marriage of, electronic, sampling and drum programming with the musicians, to me, that's still one of the best combinations of the two that's ever existed. That particular New Eureka Soul project, and outside of that too, because you guys went on to continue that in your sound. And I think that's a very difficult thing, at a producer level. It's either easier to just do a whole live sound or stay electronic, but it's hard to get them two to mesh, and you guys figured that shit out. So,
well, it was me coming from hip hop, Louis coming from the club side.
Yeah.
It was, he is a great arranger.
Mm-hmm.
Great arranger.
Yeah.
I learned how to arrange through playing records. That's how I learned arrangement, through just playing music.
Studying it.
Like learning where things break in, break out, just boom, boom, boom. And it's a feeling thing.
Yeah.
Like if you play those records, they're not like today's house records. Today's house records are very formulated.
Yep.
16, 32, 64, boom, boom.
Yep.
The fill, the drop, the build up, the boom, the switch. Man. Right? So if you listen to those records though,
yeah,
there's a lot of fading.
Yeah.
Blending. These things fade in, fade out.
Yes.
Mixing that stuff live.
Yeah.
On the SSL.
Yeah.
To the computer.
Yeah.
Like all that interacting is what we're doing and what we learned as DJs.
Yeah.
But now we're bringing that to the studio.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, excuse me, to answer your question about the instruments, is like we just got bored of one style and was just like, all right, let's go to the next style.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And let's jump into something else. And we just kept going from there. It just kept going.
Did it kind of start with that Tito Puente record, Gran Can Can, that you guys did? I feel like that was the first time I felt you guys implemented some kind of live element.
That came from, again, he was on one. He was
Electra, maybe?
Electra, yeah. He's still Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
So that came through there. And when we met Tito, he kind of introduced us to a lot of the Latin guys.
Okay.
And that's how that whole thing spurred up, because one to the other. It's just like us, right? Like, I'm on boom. Or, a-trak, go work with Todd. And it's the same thing. All those guys came up together the same way. So when we said, we want to use such and such, or we would like to work with something, it was just like a phone call.
Yeah.
Right.
But things kept growing organically and naturally.
Yeah.
With us, it was all natural. We were doing like 5 records a week, 6 records a week.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
every day.
Yeah, you were speaking of that, by the way. That's so. I started this record label called Aviate Records. I mean, I don't know if you even know that story, but Aviate. I started Aviate.
That was you, right?
The party break label. Yeah, I started the label. I started. It was on my pager. So I started, and I was still in Boston at the time. But the record label, my concept for the record label. So when Kenny talks about, this is an important thing with me and a-trak too, because our connection is the same connection as, in a sense, you and Louis and the hip hop and house, heart, if you want to call it. It's a particular thing. And when I did Aviate, I loved Your Blood Vibes, and I thought Super, to me, because I was already starting to make beats at that time. And the thing is, generally it was, if you made rap beats, you needed a rapper. That's like, you didn't put out an instrumental. you needed a rapper. And then if you made house music, you were like, I don't need nobody. And you would just find a vocal sample or something. And so you could just sit in your house by yourself and make a full record without anybody.
Right.
So when Super came out, I'll never forget it, because I go, well, I know Blood Vibes was first, but I felt like right after Super came out or something. But it's still, I was like, oh man, as I had a revelation, I go, I can produce hip hop, and I don't need a rapper. I can just do what Kenny did. And so when I started Aviate, I was like, I'm just literally copying you. I didn't take your drums. I know one thing. For some reason, without me and you meeting, I felt, like you said, kind of like the guy that brought you up at the record store. There's an integrity in this thing, and I, for some knew early on somehow, I was like, I'm not gonna make it taking Kenny's drums, because everybody was taking Kenny's drums. It was just like it was like years and years of like, oh, those are Kenny's drums, and it was like it became a thing at some point. And my thing was like, I'm doing anything not to do that, because there was an integrity thing in there. But anyway, so I started Aviate, copying you, but I was like, I have to copy you, but with integrity. So I was like, I'm going to do hip hop on one side of the record and house on the other. And what you guys did, like on the cutting records releases, that's
how every 12-inch would have one side hip hop on side.
But Kenny and Louis invented it. They invented because a lot of people at that time, you would play hip hop and you would play house in the set at the party. It was just, that's what felt good, so
there was no boundaries.
Exactly. So the thing is, so my thing was, when I started Aviate, the first releases on Aviate have a house side and a hip hop side. And I was just literally copying what kind of Louis and Kenny came up with, just probably not even thinking about it. But you guys invented the party breaks, really, and the idea of putting out a hip hop instrumental, but killing the club with it, and then you end up with, Brooklyn Clan and all these records down the line. But you guys invented that, So
where that comes from?
Yeah,
the record store.
Yeah,
From being a salesman.
Yeah,
exactly. Think about it. Yeah. Now I got hip hop dudes. They buy 2 of everything.
Yeah.
Some of them bought 3.
Yeah.
And then I got the house guys that buy 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking sales. I'm thinking numbers.
Yeah.
That's how that whole thing transpired.
That's crazy.
I mean, Kenny, I know a little bit about that too, because when I came up first in the scratch DJ scene, and we used to make those break records with the scratch samples.
Yeah,
that shit sold like crazy. Like, me and Craze, we came up a little bit after Hubert and them. Hubert and those guys, they were making the battle records, so we started making our own. It would cost nothing to make, and we would sell them for more than a 12-inch. And scratch DJs would buy like not 2 copies, 4 copies, because they would wear out their first 2.
Yep.
That shit, we made so much bread off of that back then. I'm still trying to figure out the digital way to what we were doing with those break records.
Well, you know what? It's going back to the vinyl now.
Yeah, it might just be pressing records again.
It is.
Yeah, which actually it makes me think. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about, and I can already anticipate that the answer is going to point back to your experience at the record store again is you. I don't remember if you told me that you currently have a pressing plant, or you were acquiring a recipe, or that you're in that world of pressing plants too, right? Like, there's not a lot of people in our field who can think that big, who can even think that it's possible to press stuff themselves. A lot of people just have this sense of like, oh, well, someone else does that. And I wonder if like just the fact that you were in that environment so young, you understand every step from
I've been around
making the record to pressing the record to getting a customer to buy it. I feel like you know every piece of that.
Artwork, labels, record jackets, stampers, mastering, lacquers, record pressing, configurations, 45, 33.
Right.
It goes on and on and on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you got to, if this is, it's like anything else, man. Like you drive race cars, you know everything about what happens in that race car.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Gotta know everything about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You play tennis, that racket, right? It's about that, like how you hit that, you know what I'm saying? So with the music, I take this very serious. Like this is not a game. It started off as fun, but the more you get into it and the more I got into it and got my feet wet, I wanted to know every aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now to my mixtapes. I wasn't selling my mixtapes to tape masters. I went and bought my own machines to make my own tapes. I went to the printer, printed my jackets, my J cards, and sold my tapes at the store. Yeah. Because I said, you know what? I'm gonna invest in myself, so the money the money stays within myself. Yeah. Not that I'm gonna sell my master for $100 and he's gonna make $2,000-$3,000 off of it. Right. So the same thing goes with the records. Like being at the store, seeing all that stuff firsthand, you know, I did record deals with certain people, but I also got burned through making these deals because, you know, as you grow, you make mistakes, right? Everybody makes mistakes. We all do. And I did some bad deals, but now it's like, okay, so I want to make my own thing. So I knew enough because of being at the store of how records were being repressed. So how do they make, you know, but then I did notice that sometimes you got the repressing on a different label, but it was the same record. Right. Different typeset. Like this is how deep it goes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the typeset is different. Yeah. But why is it different? Yeah. They pressed it somewhere else. Yeah. It wasn't at the same spot. So like all these things, I start learning about it. But then, you know, as I continued owning a label, I knew it was important for me to keep my parts, for me to keep my artwork. Because if I needed to order more records, I have those assets. The assets are important. Like it drives me nuts when I speak to somebody and they're like, oh, I don't have those tapes no more. Oh, I don't even have those discs anymore. What'd you do with them? Oh, well, I left them in my mom's crib and she cleaned out my whole room and it got thrown out. I'm like, that's some of your most classic shit. Like, why would you do it? Like, leave it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I guess it's the collective side too of just keeping stuff, you know? Yeah. But I definitely the pressing plant concept is definitely something I want to do.
That's dope.
You know, I think people should know too. I don't know. I mean, I've known this forever, but I don't know per se if this is common knowledge, but Candy Dope is, I'm going to guess and say in the top 20, 25 record collectors probably in the United States or even in the world. Am I right to say that or am I off?
I got a lot of records, but there is I don't know. Other friends of mine who have collections say I got an ill collection. I know I have an ill collection.
I know, and everybody I've ever talked to that's even considered a collector doesn't even know that I know you or know of you at least. Your name always comes up in those circles.
Right.
So that's why I always think if the line, Occam's razor, if the lines keep getting drawn to Kenny's collection has got to be on an epic level of like the biggest and best collectors of vinyl that exist on this planet. Kenny's probably up there, high. Yeah. So
see, and again, it stems from those teenage years because learning about music and wanting to incorporate different styles, you start getting, all this other stuff that comes into play that you didn't even think you would like. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like to think that my boss was like, yo, you need to learn about rock. I'm like, rock? I ain't fucking with that white boy shit. Like, get out of here with that. You know what I mean? Like, but when he said, yeah, but you're gonna like this, and he starts playing beats, I'm like, whoa. So then, the palette grows, right?
Sure.
So now you got this taste for this rock stuff, and you're like, damn, that's funky. Like, you know what I mean? And then when you start learning about Toys in the Attic, and then you start learning about where Beasties got this and where Rick Rubin did this, and then and it just keeps growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
So that's how the records keep growing. It keeps growing because you want to collect that. And then me being a purist, I want to know who recorded it, what they used to record it, what machines they were recording with. You know what I mean? Because now I'm just sucking it all up. Like this room in here is my library. Yeah. Like I could pull out anything and just listen. Yeah. And there's jewels here because you're not gonna get that from YouTube. Yeah. It's not gonna happen. Yeah. Granted, all the kids, they're sampling from it or whatever the case may be. That's their way of digging. That's the new age of digging. And granted, they didn't come from our school. They didn't read the jackets. They didn't come up reading samples and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But when you're in a room like this, you're like, wow, it just feels good. It feels good.
Yeah. It feels like the spirits.
So I don't know. I don't know if I'm in that top 25, but there's dudes that.
Well, for me, I'm shooting that number out there. To me, you could be like top 3 as far as on a personal. I don't even know, but you've just come up in a lot of conversation. Another thing that people came up and told me about you a lot was they were like, Kenny's thing. I don't know if they're making this up. They go, Kenny's thing is like he reads the musicians on the record, and then he finds he'll be digging, and if he remembers, he might look at it once because he likes that record and be like, that drummer was ill, never seen his name before. And then Kenny, when he does his digs, will be like, boom, I don't know this record, but there's my drummer. Right. And you just buy it because you like, I remember that dude. And like, that's some high level digging, like to remember the musicians and log that all in. And then when you get on the dig, you're like, what's this? Flip it. I know that trumpet player. Boom. Like, yeah.
We're into sound, right? So sound. And again, it's back on that painting shit. Like all these textures make what we love. Yeah. Now, if we understand how to make what we love, we're a step further.
Yeah.
Because we already know what the ingredients are. We just got to make it.
Yeah.
Right. But you have to teach yourself the ingredients and how to cook, how to chef it up.
Yeah.
So by me for years, like, dude, in my writers, they thought I was fucking crazy. Like, there's DJs, writers that got prostitutes, ecstasy, and blah blah blah. My writer has record stores in the 90s.
Yeah. And take me to record stores.
This is the list of the stores we're going to, and the driver needs to know. And this is the order we're going to them in after Heathrow Airport.
That's amazing.
Before you check in the hotel.
Yeah. Damn, so let's say you were
in Germany, in France,
That's crazy.
In
So
Sweden.
what did you do? Would you buy a ton and then ship it? What would you do? Like,
bro, we were playing vinyl back then.
No, but what I'm saying is when you would go on your ride,
they were in the bag coming home with us.
Okay, so you just carried.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You got to understand. Yeah. We were playing vinyl.
Yeah.
So either we would bring an empty box, it was going in a box.
Yeah.
Or it was coming on the plane with us.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. I remember traveling with you and Louis a couple times in those days, and I'm not making this up, a-trak. People carry 2 record vinyl bags, right? Louis and Kenny, I'm not making this up. Louis and Kenny, because I think we were all waiting for our bags one time. And Louis and Kenny, I think you guys had 10 record bags, at least. What's that?
We have 5 each, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I can't believe y'all try. And the cart, you put the little euro in the cart and you pull the cart out. Like it would literally be like Kenny would be walking and that cart would just be like, wow. It'd be like a mountain with like the bags and then the records and then Louis too. And it'd be like, wow. And just like 2 mountains coming at you. I'm like, God, it's like, and they did that for all their shows. They carried that on.
The promoters hated their shit because we're like, we ain't paying for that shit.
Yeah.
the overage charges.
They were paying it. I was like, I ain't paying that shit. Like,
that was a lot of records though, man. It was just crazy.
You want us to come play? Okay, this is the fees and this is the excess baggage fees.
Yeah. That's true.
That's one thing I don't miss is the excess baggage charge and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's crazy though. There's crazy stories though, because after a while, people knew our real names.
Yeah,
and all the guys that worked at the airports, they were DJs too.
Yeah,
go missing. Like you would go to a spot and ready. I'm like, damn, I put that record there. Where is it? And you would look, it's gone.
Yeah.
Next thing you know is an acetate, which was something we just cut because it's something we wanted to test this weekend.
I know.
The next following week, the shit was bootleg.
Yep. I remember these stories.
Like that.
Yep, I know. In the UK especially.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. I heard of that too.
Yeah. Well, me and a-trak with Duck Sauce, like when we kind of started up our thing, we didn't know what we wanted to do, but a-trak's predominantly from hip hop as well. He's a generation back from me, but he's a true hip hop head. And when he was like, let's collab, he kind of came up with our sound. Like, he's like, let's do disco house. And I was like, okay, and go back to sampling. And I was like, what? I was like, yes, please. But the thing that we always stuck with us through any song when we were sitting together making it. That one, you got to make one for the kids.
Nah, it was dope, man. Shit.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, we tried to, in a sense, capture what you and Todd kind of, and with Louis and even the David Morales.
Yeah, but
David Morales comes from hip hop too, but we wanted to somehow continue in the tradition, in the sense of having a house and hip hop thing. Maybe our end result is Barbra Streisand.
But listen, that's the thing about it is that shit ain't corny though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like you, even though that's what's so dope about it. Because now you influence from us, but you made something yours.
Sure.
That's yours.
Yeah.
All I kept hearing for years was, yo, can you call Armand and them? He don't want to DJ. He doesn't want to go out. He needs 6 figures to go. I'm like, hey, listen, dude doesn't want to travel. If he's telling you no, I'm gonna convince him to say, yo, go do this party. I can't. Bro, for years.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's like that's not his thing. He makes his records. If he's saying no, I can't help it.
But anyway, we just wanted to say, we really tried to harness our sound through what you developed, not unknowingly. I think you, found a sound for house music, because really, if you really look at the timeline, you had that Chicago house thing, and then New York kind of Todd Terry doing Royal House, and now we have like New York found like a template to continue in its sound, and then New York just, I hate to say it, but Chicago heads won't like this, but Chicago continued on in its sound. It still stayed like a-trak's record banger, with Cashmere and Relief and Casual Records and stuff. They would still do the Chicago sound. They had a little bit of a garage sound, a little bit, but predominantly New York took over. Like you remember, like it was like all the records coming out of New York. Jersey sound was blowing up, everything. So, but me and a-trak were just trying to, with our thing, was just to make sure that we stayed true to the hip hop and house background and to continue that. And it's just crazy because it's like, you guys did it, not even thinking about, you were just in the moment. Hey, this is what's happening, but right. It was important for us to have to keep that thing going. So
on the beats side,
yeah,
I always wanted things to be hard.
Yeah.
And that was the hip hop side of me wanting to dress hard.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want that shit in your face. You know what I mean? Fuck all that soft shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're in a club, you want to feel a certain way. We were rowdy back then. We had our crew. We was just like, man, that shit is soft. You know what I mean? Like, come with it. So my thing was, and that's why always about the drums with our stuff.
Yeah.
First. I would listen to, when I was listening to records to play, dumb beats wasn't popping. That shit next. Like, but drums is a foundation of what this is. You know what I'm saying? And that's why everybody was trying to get, especially England, they were trying to copy the sound.
Yeah.
You can't copy the sound.
Yeah. They
were all using computers. They were using computers and they were trying to, like, I would hear records and I'm like, those are my patterns in the record. But they sound all fucked up because they got them. It's not a machine.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So for a while, I started fucking with people, honestly. To be honest, I don't know if you noticed, but I started messing with people because when they started doing that whole thing, I started using two machines at the same time. And just mess up the whole quantizing in the signature, time signature, the beats.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I was like, man, I'm gonna mess their whole world up.
That's funny.
I was just having fun with it.
I remember that too, because they were all the UK thing was like, go start with Kenny dope drums, find some chords, sample some chords from Louis, and then we'll go from there. Like basically, right? That was about it. Like it was almost like just do that and we'll have a record. It was like that.
There was a lot of, let me tell you, a lot of great records that came from overseas too. Like that are friends of ours that the same way how you were influenced.
Yeah.
We were influenced by them too. Yeah. And they got influenced by us backwards and they created something else. Like, remember, I don't know if you remember the Warp label.
Warp, of course. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Crazy records out of that label.
I'm on wax. Yeah.
Drum was another label. There was tons of labels out there that they were
bang the party. Doing
it like, and again, it was just like that trade-off, I'm talking about there were certain individuals that were trying to actually take the skeleton and then create something out of the skeleton, but you could hear it back and be like, that's a mess. Like,
but you know what's funny? The weirdest thing through what you're saying, the weirdest thing is that UK garage, if you want to call it that, garage, and two-step actually are Kenny's drums. So they took Kenny's drums and his swing, and Kenny would be like in a 122, 123 BPM pocket, right? They put it at like 132, and then but they would grab Kenny's drums and on a half bar, and then for some reason, because the way Kenny's hats were, the way he programmed it, it had this amazing just a half bar like that, and then they would chop the snare. They would chop Kenny's snare to fill it in. And that's basically UK garage and two-step is originally Kenny's drums, for sure.
And drum and bass started from Blood Vibes on 45, right?
I didn't know. That's amazing. I did not know that story. Play
Blood Vibes and the bass line, bass tones,
on
45 to slow it down.
Yeah.
that's coming from straight from them. They're like, yo, this shit came from this record.
Okay, but they were doing early breakbeat and jungle. One of the things that they would do was put all rap and hip hop on 45. So that makes sense. That's how it started.
But
yeah, like the Amen break on 45, you know.
A lot of the heads told me, yo, that comes from there. I was like,
I believe it. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, we could do this for hours.
I know, we could talk for hours.
I'm happy with this. Yo, actually, super random, Kenny. Do you know? So I grew up in Montreal, right? There was a college radio show when I was a teenager that was called Masters at Work. But obviously, it wasn't you guys. It was two guys from Montreal that had a college radio show. It was one of the only radio shows in the city that was playing hip hop, and they were called Masters at Work.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well,
you still in touch with them?
I haven't talked to those guys in a long time. I'm still in touch with some of the heads from the hip hop scene from when I was growing up, but not those dudes specifically. But so for me, it took me a couple of years to figure out that there was another Masters at Work that was actually a bigger deal in the year, because I knew that name from my hometown, and I was like, wait, there's another one. But
Canada always had a dope music scene.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
incredible vibes.
Yeah.
My thing was, it was a motherfucker to get in, bro.
Yeah, border stuff. The border stuff.
Still like that, man.
And then, by the way, both ways for us to get into the U.S. I was getting booked at my first shows when I was like 15. I was getting grilled by American border agents, and I was like, "What's going on? Like, why can't I go to my show?"
So I had I love Canada, man. Like the parties were, but I couldn't go.
Yeah,
because every time I used to go, it took me longer to get in than the flight.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what? I love this place, but fuck this place at the same time. I was like, nah, because it was just like, how can it take so long to get in?
Yeah. I know.
And with me, it was my last name. They were looking for this dude for years.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. And it's like every time flag go over there.
Yeah.
And they would wait. Yeah. And then you know how you got to do the papers over there. Like you can't free it. You have to go there. So I was just like, so there was a period I didn't go up there because it was just like, it was so tough to get in.
It is. What's your longest wait in that waiting room? Because I've had a long hours. Yeah, I've had a 4-hour wait.
Actually, one time they made me miss my flight too.
I'm sure.
Leaving
over there, coming back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know. Yeah.
It's like I'm like, yo, what's the problem? You know what I mean? Like, so it was always hard to get in, and I feel bad because there were so many parties that we could have did, and the people, and they enjoyed it, and they just different vibes, and we just couldn't do it because it was just like I can't do it.
It's funny you say that because people have asked me as well. They're like, "Oh, you
just don't go nowhere though. You don't go anywhere. It's not Canada. Don't even try to front like it's Canada and shit. Like you don't go anywhere."
But Canada, it's funny. It's out of my DJ travels. Yeah, maybe they're not as much, but in my travels, I always am flabbergasted by Canada. I'm just like, why? It's like you can go anywhere. You can go all the way to Australia and you just walk right in.
No, but know what it is?
Canada's just such a disaster. So.
Yeah, but if you think about it, the U.S.-Canada border is so long.
I know.
They had to make it, not to just, I hate the fact that it was so tough for musicians from the U.S. to go into Canada, but the explanation they'll give you in Canada is that border is so long. Yeah. They had to make the border really tight because if not, people will be coming in everywhere.
Yeah. If anything, they should just assimilate this border.
Just share some sort of
border, man. Stupid.
So a-trak, when he finally did a Defector show, it was like the world was gonna end.
When our mom finally did it.
Yeah, when my mom finally did it, it was like, hey, we got our mom. I'm like, yeah, right. Yeah. It's like, he ain't coming. When he finally did it, I was like, oh, that's good, man. They were so happy to have you. Because like everybody for years was trying to get this dude, man, and he would, nah, I'm not going. I'm not going. Yeah, I'm not doing it.
Right, especially the funny thing is, especially through the speed garage era too, like when they were kind of jocking my sound, if you want to say, and I just wasn't going there. It's kind of weird, you know. It was just like a weird time. But
Okay.
It was the perfect thing is, man, it's like even like Fat Joe, for instance. Like Fat Joe used to be like, yo, you're on these planes, and I'm like, dude, you gotta go to these countries, man.
Yeah.
You gotta, because you know what? It gets to a point where people are like, oh, he ain't fucking with us. We ain't fucking with him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Joe used to be scared to fly, right?
Yeah, he didn't. He was like, nah. But then he started, you know, he finally went and he saw for himself. He was like, oh, okay, I get it now. Like, you know, they genuinely love your shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta go. Yeah,
Right.
Hey, man, damn, it's so wonderful to have you, man. Like crazy.
Be safe, man.
Yeah, you
Have
too,
a good
man.
holiday, and try to be safe out here because it's crazy.
Yeah.
Wild West.
Thank you, man, and you too as well.
All right.
Man. Sure.
Word up.
Yep. Thanks, Kenny.
Take off, man. All
Samuel,
right.
peace. All right. Later.
Much love, Kenny. Thank you so much, man.
All right, no problem. Later.